This is my little take on it. Actually, viruses depends on hosts to execute attacks. And these attacks can be in the form of intrusion or unauthorized access to other people's data and information via their computing devices. However, a personal attack can be very crucial to the host. Example, a virus like Trojan horse seeks to replicate other files multiple times, hereby ensuring no or heavy computing processes and resources, which can steadily render an operating system unusable. Imagine this same attack on a business system. This would disorient and stagnate business processes that depend solely on tech services. Both attacks will be detrimental, whether being a business or personal computer virus attack. So I don't think that any of the viruses can be quote unquote harmless, since their main objective is to disorient the processes of what? An operating system or a software application. Thank you.
Thank you for your perspective. It's well taken. Who else? Guys, let me feel your vibes. Who else? Oh, it's only one person who did the work? Should I start mentioning names? Hello, class.
Sir, some of us target.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Nadia, let's hear you.
Yes. Sir, I feel concerning viruses, there's no such thing as a harmless virus. Because it can really affect every aspect of your life, especially as a student. Let me use our current situation. Currently, we are doing online. So most of our assignments and study material is soft copy, which we have to store either on a pen drive, machines, or even on our phones. I have the experience where recently I've had to print out an assignment, and unfortunately I used my external. When I inserted it into the machine to be printed, it caught a virus, and it now converted my files into shortcuts. And I cannot retrieve unless I download the software to help me retrieve that data. So right now I am at a loss because all my study material is on the external. Though I have backups of most of the study material and assignments, but to some degree I've lost or I've been harmed in a way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's my standpoint.
Okay. Awesome.
You.
All right. Who else? Yeah, Felix. Yes. Felix, let's hear you, please. All right, so share your perspective in the chat box. Eric.
Sir.
All right, can we hear you?
I think Felix is talking, that's why I kept quiet. But once it's not,
We couldn't hear him, so he will put his perspective in the chat box.
okay, sir. Sir, when we talk of viruses, I will normally bring it in our local setting. Like some of the viruses even attack not even fast alone, sometimes even attack the hard parts of the machines that we normally use. For it can cause a lot of damages to both financial and then time wasting. So therefore, in some organizations, you can't even slot in pen drive and other external stuff. And some of them also people like try to use virus to retrieve certain files, which is important in the government organization to use for other trivial works. So it causes a lot of financial and other things in the organization. This a little that I will talk about. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Before patients come up, who is Emmanuel Uso from? Can you show your face?
Sir,
Yes, can you show your face? Oh, okay. The Uso from rings a bell. That's what I'm asking.
yes, sir.
You know what I'm asking? Do you relate to any Uso from?
No, sir.
Where do you come from?
Santimampong, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
you don't know any Uso from on this campus?
No, sir.
Are you sure exactly as Santimampong or Nsuta?
Yes, sir. In Santimampong, sir. My mom is from Mampong. My dad is from Sita.
I will share on.
All right, so we'll talk about it. Let's talk after this. You take my contact. I know why I'm asking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway,
yes, sir.
that is fine. Yes,
Yes, sir.
Pat, let's hear you.
Okay, sir, thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right.
People see some computer viruses harmless because they think they can get an antivirus to clear it and have their information or data intact. Let's say like the malware, the Trojan horses, you can get an antivirus that can clear the viruses for you to get your data and everything. But then a virus is a destructive. Sorry, sir.
That's fine.
A virus, thank you, sir. A virus is a destructive software that how do you call it? That slows the functioning of the computer, damaging the software and stealing data. It slows performances, frequent crashes, storage space shortages, and missing files. So to me, there is no harmless virus. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks for your perspective. Who else? Who else? Let me see. Yes, Andrew.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
All right. Good evening.
Sir, thank you for the opportunity. Looking at what is on the screen, it says that some considers the virus as a harmless virus and some are harmful. But based on the little experiences that I have come across, every antivirus that is programmed has a virus in itself. When the expire, the tenure of duration expires, the antivirus itself becomes a virus on the machine. So my perspective from my experience, I say there's nothing like a harmless viruses. All viruses are harmful because no matter how harmless they are, at the long run, they cause certain effects, which is negatively on our laptops, computers, and whatsoever. And some also uses those antiviruses as a backdoor to creep on us to steal our data and any information that they want to have. So this is my perspective.
All right, it's well noted. Thank you very much. Yes, Emmanuel Akoto.
All right, so thank you too. Other people might think that viruses are harmless, maybe due to the damages that they do to programs and other devices. But personally, I don't think there's anything harmless viruses around due to the effect and the damage that they cause. When you take the health side, for example, viruses are agents that replicate itself or duplicate itself once it gets into the human system. The same way that when a virus gets into the computer system, it does, and then replicates itself, causing folders and other important documents on a computer to malfunction, and then it becomes very difficult using those devices or those programs. So personally, I really don't think there's anything harmless about viruses. Viruses are very dangerous, and then it has to be taken into serious consideration whilst we are on the net or using a desktop, a laptop, or even on the business side. We should be very careful with viruses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Worthy of note. All right. When you are done, you can put your hand down. Come on. Come on. Your link is bad. So if you can do us the honors by putting your perspective in the chat box. Okay? Amon, can you hear me? We are not hearing you, so just write what you want to say in the chat box.
Hello, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
It's still terrible, but if you can put it in the chat box, it will help us, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Collins.
Okay.
Yeah, please, it's me, Felix, but I'm using Collins Zone because of the network.
Okay, all right. Well, are you guys on campus?
Yes, sir.
I see. You still don't want to be in the house.
Sir, please, with my perspective, I'll go against the motion that they are harmless viruses. Because when you get a virus like the worm virus, you can use an antivirus to clear it without losing your information. So that is how I see that there are some viruses which are harmless.
Okay, and some are harmful. Is that the case? Or you see all of them as harmless?
Some are harmful, but the harmless ones are not that much as the harmful ones.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Do we have more, or that's all we can get from you? Let me check the chat box, what is in there. Okay, Roxin Anyane is also proposing that majority of computer viruses are dangerous and aim to damage systems. A virus is a type of malware that is connected to another file or application and can replicate and propagate once it is started or opened by humans. That's his perspective. I see. Eric Boabeng, please, the lady went to, what is that? Oh, Eric. upon all these questions, that's what you could contribute. Anyway, all right, that is by the way from the chat. Now, the second one, I expect to get this from you, 2 pages of that. You consider how popular biometric devices are, and you make sure you discuss the increasing frequency with which biometric devices are used. And you mention some of their limitations. Very simple, and straightforward. Okay? Now, problem of the day, as we call it. Today, we are going to talk about digital security. Okay? There are some objectives that you need to meet at the end of this discussion. Notable among them, who is this? Is at the end of the discussion, you should be able to define the term digital security risks. You should be able to describe the type of cyber criminals, describe various types of internet and network attacks, and explain ways to safeguard against these attacks. We have some techniques. You should be able to also explain the ways that software manufacturers protect against software piracy. And the discussion is ongoing. Okay? Now, so what do we mean by digital security? And before you attempt to explain what digital security is, in general, what is security? What is your understanding of security? Collins, all right. Today, you're on top of issues. What is security?
Okay, sir. When we talk in terms of security, there are measures put in place to ensure that a system, a place, or people are within their right to perform their duty, devoid of any attacks, or let me say it could be personal attacks, or it could be attacks through systems and other various ways of I think deterring the processes of systems, or let me say people to go through their services smoothly. So security in a nutshell is just like people, systems or people who are placed within a particular sector to ensure that people can do their work safely and without the need of thinking of any harm befalling them or their systems.
Okay, all right. Who else? Who else, please?
Hello, sir. My hand is up, sir.
Oh, okay.
Sir, please, security can be defined as maximum protection from...
Is that part?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Security can be defined as maximum protection from danger or threat.
All right, all right. That's awesome. Yes, Sadiq. Thank you, Pat.
Welcome.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Sadiq, let's hear you.
When they say security, security basically means it's a state of being free from threat or danger.
Okay, you're saying the same thing. Good. Tiflos. Sadiq, you can put your hand down. Yeah, Theo. Theophilus.
Sir, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, security is a situation whereby you free yourself or you prevent yourself from danger. And in so doing, in our fields of work, whatever environment that we find ourselves, the maximum way to protect ourselves constitutes a form of security for us. So, for instance, our computers, if we are able to free them from danger, it is a form of security being given to them. Our own personal beings, if we are able to free ourselves from danger, it's a form of security being meted out to our own self being. So, in a nutshell, I would say security is a way or a mode of freeing yourself from danger. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Theo. You can put down your hand. Yes. Andrew.
Yes, sir. So, sir, I think security has to do with a system that has been put in place to protect individuals, places, properties, even a country from dangers of people, from it could be anything that we see as a threat. It could be just like the coronavirus happened. It could be a biological weapon. So if we are putting measures in place like the vaccinations and all those, these are securities to protect us from harmful situations all around, including the nation at large. This is my what I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. Please, when I say security, it means protection from or resilience against potential that is caused by others, and also by restraining the freedom of others to act. That's my understanding of security. Thank you.
Okay. Interesting perspective out there. All right. You may put down your hand. Where is this guy? Eric.
Sir.
Right.
Sir, when we talk of security, is a out of putting measures against threats and dangers, and again monitor that such measures are put in place are being secured against any threats, against the property or my car. That's a simple.
All right.
I would also say.
Yeah, Emmanuel.
Okay, sir. Security also can also means lay down rules or regulation. Sometimes it's not necessary by people guiding somebody or somebody guiding something, but it could also mean a simple way of putting rules or regulation just to ensure the safety of anything at all.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Ifachum. Amen.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Everything I can say about it is whereby Nigeria or a group of people have been compromised, like a tech test, that they have a style of mind. Then being in your home, not allow the tech test to take your private. You always block your students. Don't allow the tech test to take your problem.
All right. It appears your link is a bit terrible. If you can put your perspective in the chat box, we'll be glad to read them. All right. So let's hear Hammond.
Thank you, sir. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay.
It is still not good. It is still not good.
Protection of life and property. That's what I get.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I was talking about it's barely protection of life and property. Hello.
All right. Okay. All right. All for the benefit of those who that have not given you the chance to speak, I think most of your colleagues have mentioned or they've touched on every corner of security. And I think we've all have a broader view about what security is actually means. Simply put, is the protection of what? Lives and property. That's all we are talking about. In the same way, when you move to digital world, that is where we are going to apply the digital or the technology aspect to security. And here we are going to talk about people, systems, what have you, infrastructure, everything. Is that okay? Data, information, processes. Are you following that? So,
yes, sir.
If you consider security to be the protection of life and property, just avert your minds towards digital security and privacy as well as ethics of it. Because if you find yourself in this folder we need to have laid down rules that will guide us as far as our activities are concerned. So what is digital security? Sorry. Digital security just simply a security protection of online identity. You know, criminals are finding new ways to operate and they see information from digital users for their own personal gain. And this digital security is an all-encompassing term, which includes the tools you can use to secure your identity, your assets, and almighty technology in the online and mobile world. Here, we can also talk of types of digital security risks. And what are they? You can mention internet and network attacks. We can talk of unauthorized access and use of data or information. You can talk of hardware theft. You can talk about software theft. We can mention of information theft, as well as what? System failure. Okay? All these things, we come across them. People use data or information that are not meant for them. They are not meant for their use. But in one way or the other, they end up using it. They don't seek permission from those who own it. These are some of the things we frown on. People turn up to steal the very hardware that they need to work with. So you need to find a way to protect and safeguard them. You build a data center and you don't think of how to protect them from flood or rains. You can name them, all these attacks. Is that okay? They are critical in our daily dealings. Some people steal people's information for their own reasons. You know, they use it anyhow. They don't seek their permission. Copyright issues, intellectual property. Okay? These are some of the things we are talking about. System failures. When you are using your power, sometimes it can go low voltage, higher voltage. You need to get stabilizer or power surge to stay in business. Now, let's move to ethics and society in technology. It's a subfield of ethics addressing ethical questions specific to the technology age. Some prominent works of philosopher Hans John Asari devoted to ethics of technology. The subject has also been explored following the work of some few other philosophers. And the term technoethics came up as computer ethics. And these are unauthorized use of computer. If you are not allowed to use somebody's device, please, you have no right to do that. These are some of the ethics we are talking about. They lay down rules, set rules that you need to be guided with. Okay? Mobile device and network, software theft, information accuracy. You are supposed to send information to a receiver. By the time the information gets to the receiver, it is not as it was sent. Okay? These are some of the things we are talking about and you should be concerned about. I also mentioned here code of ethics. You need to get your, rules. Everybody should be guided by that. And also, when a device is no more in use, you need to find a proper way of what? Disposing them. And here, what do you mean by disposing of? We are talking about green computing. Okay? You don't leave your machines on when they are not in need of it. Some people leave their machines on, consuming unnecessary power, and they go to bed. This is not good. You should be mindful of that. Green computing right there. Then, information privacy is also known as data privacy or data protection. This is a relationship between collection and dissemination of data. Technology, the public expectation of privacy. You need to talk of legal aspect of it and political issues surrounding them. Okay? Every time you need to send or disseminate information, make sure the intended audience is the one that is targeted. In between, nobody should have access to the information. This is what we are talking. So you can mention of spoofing and other techniques people can also use to get access to information. These are not good. Okay? Content filtering. People put all sort of mechanisms in place to check what is being transmitted from a source to the end user. So you need to be mindful of that. Okay. Any question at this point? Any question at this point?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Is it yes or no?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's hear you if you have a question. You mention your name and you ask your question. Yeah, Jesse. Jesse, can we hear you? Oh. Josiah.
I think his line is off.
But it's still on.
No, my line is on. My line is on.
So let's hear you.
Sir, the first question is, I just wanted to find out the difference between the data protection and data security. And the second question is, assume you have a problem with your phone and you have all these security features on it and you have sent it to a mechanic or just or phone repairs to repair it for you. And before that, they can do it unless you open your security so that they can go through. And beside that, they told you that they cannot work on it unless tomorrow. How can you protect your data since since you have a problem with it, sir? That's my question. That's the second question, sir.
Okay, let me attempt to answer your first question, that the difference between data protection and data security. From the beginning of this discussion, we mentioned that, and we established that fact, that security is all about the protection of lives and properties. Is that not the case?
Yes, sir.
So you can get your answer from your question, your second question from the first one. I just broke them together, the differences. So if you want to know the difference between data protection and data security, so you get the data protection from data security. Are you making some sense? Are you okay?
Yes, sir. I'm getting you, sir. I'm okay, sir.
All right.
Thank
so
you, sir.
In expanding this, all that we mean, if you are sending a data to a recipient, make sure there are three key things that you need to consider. I term them as CIA, of which the first C is what? Confidentiality. You make sure what you are sending is between you and the other party. Is that okay? Now, mind you, this data that you are sending across, it has to go through a medium, and anything can happen. You remember I mentioned system failures. Anything can happen in between. So when that data is received, you make sure nothing of it is taken out. The person receives the same data as it was sent. So that is data integrity in the eye, the CIA, okay? And the A, lastly, you make sure, obviously, if you don't have your data, why do you even assume to send that data to a recipient? So it should be available. There are more, but these three key are very, very relevant. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. I hope I've explained myself clearly.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Now, back to your phone issue. Now, you have your data on your phone, and there's a fault with your phone. You send it for repairs. I don't know the sort of fault you have, but at best, in the course of using it, you make sure you always back up your stuff. 2, the reason is simple. You don't have to lose your existing data. Is that not the case? But as to whether those that you are sending your device for them to repair, they also should be mindful of the code of ethics as far as their work is concerned. Otherwise, when it gets into their hands, I doubt. The honors also lie on them as to whether they can also protect you. That one, I can't give you a concrete answer that you have a total security, because they are going into your phone to get it to work. All boils down with the ethics that we are talking about. If you don't have proper code of conduct in place, then I'm sorry. They can do all manner of things. But you should also be mindful of what you also put out there. There are some things that it needs to stay within you, okay? Now, also bear in mind that if your device is not connected to internet, the chances of you getting threat is minimal. Compare a system that is not connected to internet to a system that is connected to internet. You open yourself up. So you should be mindful of that. That is how I can say to the second question. I hope I've done justice to your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, then. Do you have more questions? Do we have more questions? Today, I decided to summarize the whole thing. I boxed them in just a few minutes to finish that. Yes, Stephen.
Sir, please.
Yeah, Steve, let's hear you.
Yeah, sir. Please, I want to know with the idea of virus in health, when we bring that idea into computer, I want to know whether if computer viruses grow. Do you get me?
They grow.
Maybe once it affects you, when it affects your machine, maybe if you don't attend to it in a haste, with time, would that virus maybe develop into another thing else? I just want to know.
Okay, I got you now. I think, I don't know when you joined the class. Were you here from the beginning?
Say yes.
Okay. In fact, you have to be attentive and you pay attention to what your colleagues also contribute. I remember one of your colleagues, I don't remember the name anyway, he made categorical statement when the discussion was ongoing. Somebody used an analogy of human beings having virus attacks, and I heard him mentioning it spreads if it's not treated properly. They replicate and duplicate. He used these two words, and I was happy to hear him say that. Am I correct?
Yes.
It's true, sir.
So in the same way, if the virus attacks your device and not properly tackled, it will replicate and duplicate. If it is triplicate, you can have that as well. It's the same concept. This virus, the developers use what we call human interactions, okay, to develop that, the way human beings behave. I mean, when you start doing your artificial intelligence and all that, and HCI, okay, human-computer interface, you know all some of these things. These machines are, the behaviors of human beings. If virus attacks your system and you don't deal with it in earnest, it turns out to be something that you cannot deal with it at the end of the day. Okay? So, Garba, I don't know if I've also answered your question.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you are satisfied?
Yes.
All right. Eric.
Yes, I just want to find out if we have data law in this country.
Yes, we do have. We don't have data law, but we have Data Protection Act, which is a law.
So the reason I'm asking is this, is that sometimes people use people's phone. So, let me say they hack people's phone to do other things. In this case, if it should be a criminal aspect, what are the laws about those issues? If you can enlighten us on that aspect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What I'll tell you to do as students, I will encourage you to find some of these things because you are now in the higher institutions of learning. So I will encourage you to get your copy of that act. And I will direct you to a place that you can get the act. Data Protection Act. You go to Ghana Publishers, close to former Accra Poly, now Accra Technical University. You can get a copy there.
Yes, sir. All the books are there.
Right. Everything concerning the state, that's where they print it. You can get a copy of that and read for yourself what the law says. I cannot give you quote upon quote verbatim. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's where you can. But I can tell you there's a Data Protection Act. You can even Google and you can get the articles and the code if you have the type. All right, somebody has provided that dataprotection.org.gh. You can get some of these. I haven't tried that myself. Anyway, thanks for bringing this to the fore. Okay, and see what the law says. Again, if somebody happens to, eavesdrop or use any data of yours at the detriment of what you do, don't expect me sitting somewhere to take the matter up, but you yourself can take the matter up yourself. Is that okay? If that is infringing on your rights, the law covers you. I hope I'm making myself clear.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any more? Any more questions? Mark.
Hello, sir. Good
Yes,
evening.
sir. Good evening.
Please, I said I want to ask, are some programs specially designed from virus? Because
This one,
there is a
yeah.
this question is, there are some applications, anytime you want to run them on the machine, sometimes it asks you to turn off your security threat. Especially, I have this activator, which I normally use to activate my Windows and Microsoft. Anytime I want to use it.
Mark, don't go further. Yes. You're exposing yourself because this activate. Don't forget you are on the cyberspace. I mean, this teaching and learning platform is controlled by a third party. So you have to be very careful what you say. So if you're exposing yourself that you're using this activator, clearly you are saying it's a cracked software, obviously, and it's not the best. You should get a genuine software with its activation key.
Okay, sir.
So somebody, the owner can take you up.
Copyright.
Right.
So this one's is for temporary. When we get there, we get the original.
All right. So when you are caught, you tell them it's temporary. Okay. Maybe they will understand you better.
It's free online.
I hear.
Listen to instructions and obey.
Just sit at your corner and do what you have to do. And yes.
Now you can be traced.
All right. I think that's what time will allow us for this week. Please, like I said, when the system comes up, I'll open the submission date again for all the exercise you have done. Then you submit all the works there. Okay? Please.
Yes,
this is from sending it to my email. I don't like that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So yes, Andrew.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Evening. Hey, how many times do you want to greet me, Andy?
Sir, it's not me. I'm not the one who greeted you.
This is
okay.
Sir, I'm not the one who greeted you. Somebody is greeting.
Okay, Engman.
Yes, sir.
Because I saw Andy, your hand up, and I mentioned your name. Engman started talking.
Sir, I have provided the file for the Data 2012 on the blog. Maybe they can download it and look it up.
Your friend has helped you, so please.
Thank you, sir.
He has provided you that you need the data protection. So those who have been deceived, you can read the act and act on it. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andy.
Engman, you want to talk?
So, Engman, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. Please, I wanted to find out what are some of the how to dispose the computers, because it happens often in my office. When the computers are in use, we just pack them outside, and this allows people will come for it. And you made mention of green computing, and you gave few examples of if your computer is not in use, you get it down, you unplug it, make sure it's not connected to the power. So I want to find out what are the best ways to dispose, rather than putting it out there, or you put it in your bin, then this area baller guys will come for it.
You know, this part of our world, we do so many things in the wrong way, but we want to achieve a positive result. It is not proper. Even if for nothing at all, when you dispose your unused devices and you out there anyhow, these things will breed mosquitoes, if for nothing at all. That is one. I mean, these mosquitoes will come and bite you, give you malaria and stuff like that. Again, it will smell so bad in your area. That's another thing. And when these things sum up, you know what it can turn into. Some decide to even burn them in the public. I think that is also bad. Depletion of the ozone layer. At best, you organize them in a way, maybe in a small room. Organize these baller boys, as you mentioned, and they should come and take them away. Or these scrap dealers, at least they can pick some few parts off. Are you getting that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So talking of green computing, I mentioned there are a lot. Power is another issue. If you are not using the power, make sure you don't leave your machine on. You don't put your machine on your bed. These machines, they do have fans. When you put it on your bed, it will generate heat, and your machine will not be radiation. Exactly. There are so many things you need to take into account. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So, in absence of more questions, we end our discussion for this week, and hopefully we'll meet again. Enjoy the rest of the evening and the week as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right.